Namasarvebhyah. This is the course on Sanatana Dharma for youth. The topic for the day is Bhagawadgita as applicable to youth. Our speaker will be Dr. CSR Prabhu. We will start the class after the prarthana. Om Shuklam Varadaram Vishnum Shashi Varnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Over to you, Dr. Prabhu.
Om. We start our series on Bhagavad Gita by meditating on Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna is very popular, on par with Rama, if not more popular. So he has done many extraordinary feats in his life. As you know, in his childhood, he was in Vrindavan. Before that, he was in Nandagaon, Gokul. Then when he shifted to Mathura, he became a statesman, politician, fighter, ruler, warrior, and he participated in many wars, and he killed many asuras. And finally, he conducted the Mahabharata war successfully and defeated the demonic forces, negative forces, and established Dharma with the help of Arjuna by advising him, counseling him in the battlefield. So there are many messages which we get in this whole sequence. You all know about Bhagavad Gita, because the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna in the middle of the Kurukshetra battlefield. So Arjuna was not willing to fight, even though he came prepared for it. Krishna counseled him and made him fight, ultimately. And because he could make him fight, the war could be won by the side of Dharma. Yato dharmas tato jaya, he could achieve victory for them. Now, if that war did not take place, things could have been different. There could have been no respite from the misdeeds of Duryodhana and his brothers. There was no way that Dharma could be restored. On one side, the Bhagavad Gita has its important role in establishing Dharma through the war. On the other side, the sermon given by Krishna to Arjuna, or the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna during that short period, was the actual summary of all the knowledge, wisdom, philosophy, spirituality, motivation, everything that has happened before that point of time. In fact, Bhagavad Gita is declared as the sum and substance of the Vedas and the Upanishads. If you study the Vedas for whole life also, you will not be able to cover even one small fraction. If you study all the Upanishads, it will take many years, if not whole lifetime. So there is a declaration in the Gita Mahatyam that how the Gita is a summary of the Upanishads. Sarvopanishado Gavo, Dogdha Gopalanandana, Pardho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta, Dugdham Gita Amrita Mahat. If you have all Upanishads compared to a cow, then if there is a cowboy, cowman, Dudwala, who is taking out the milk from that cow, which is the summary, the essence of that cow, and giving it to the calf. Who is that calf? That calf is Arjuna. Sarvopanishado Gavo. Dogdha, the person who is milking the cow, is Gopalanandana. And then that calf is Partha, Partho Vatsaha. Sudhir Bhokta, and he is consuming that milk, Dugdham, which is called Gita Amrita, the nectar of Gita. So you can understand the importance. If you study all the 108 Upanishads, it's going to be very difficult. It may not be possible in practice to almost all people. So the Bhagavad Gita is like the cream, the ice cream coming out of the milk of the cow of Upanishads. It is in such a beautiful, appealing manner that all the topics are covered. Loka Trayopakara. For what purpose? To make all people get benefited. So youth, people have, like people like students like you, have a lot of questions and doubts. There are a lot of confusion. For example, if you take the admission procedures, say IIT admission or any other particular competitive exam, like IAS. So people are made to work very, very, very hard. Almost like 20 hours out of 24 hours, they'll study. They'll be working very hard preparing for the examinations. And finally, only a few get selected. Not that nobody gets selected. Very few will get selected. I have also gone through that kind of process, but I've gone through the IIT PG only, MTech only, and I got admission by going to different IITs and writing different examinations and attending different interviews in different IIT campuses. Those days, there was no centralized examination. So now when the centralized examination has come, now people are writing BTech and MTech both centralized examination. They get, some of them get selected because there are very few seats. Those days were very, very few seats. Now it is better, but still the number of seats is limited. The number of candidates appearing to that competitive exam is very large. It runs several lakhs. The number of seats will be only hundreds or maybe a few thousands. So 10 to 100 times higher competition of population is there. So invariably only a small percentage of the competitors will get selected into that competition. So what will happen to the remaining? If the remaining people are going to be affected, depressed, shocked, and given up their hopes because they didn't get. Some of them may even commit suicide. It actually happens. And some of them may go into depression. It actually happens. So automatically that means they have to go to other institutions other than IITs. So this scenario of people committing suicides or getting depression and suffering from mental disorder, psychological disorders, what does it indicate? It indicates the right attitude was missing. While struggling for the preparation for the competition, they have put tremendous efforts. They didn't even sleep properly and they didn't even eat food. But finally, the result was negative. So here the message of Bhagavad Gita comes in. Because Arjuna also had the same problem. How can I fight against Bhishma or Drona? So he was not sure whether he will win or he will lose. In fact, he made that statement in the first chapter of Bhagavad-gita. So because he was not sure and he was not willing to fight against his own guru and his own grandfather and other relatives, all relatives were there. So he was declaring that he doesn't want to fight the war. And he sat on the ground. This is something very similar to the depression our people suffer when they fail in the examination. Need not fail the competitive examination. All the people who indulge in such competition are very brilliant and very hard work. Nobody is bad there, but still only very few get selected. And again, reservations also be there. The remaining people, more than 90%, who are not selected, they will be under depression. So just like Arjuna went into depression. So our Krishna gave one important method to avoid such scenarios. It is called Karma Yoga. Do your duty to the perfection. In fact, even Abraham Lincoln made the same statement, though he may not be doing Karma Yoga, but I know this statement. Do your duty to the perfection. Do your work to perfection till the end. And that's all. Your job is over. You should be happy about it. What will happen to the final result is not your concern. Because the final result is not actually independent of other factors. It's not dependent on your work only. There are so many other factors like say reservations or say recommendations or say so many other things. Population, huge number of people, very few seats, and they are also reserved. It's not your fault. You have done your duty. So once you do your duty till the end, you should forget about the result. That is the concept of karma yoga. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya trupto nirashraya karmanyabhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karma. A person who has given up the obsession, attachment to the results, but focuses only on the work, he will be skillful in action. Yoga karma sukausha. Because the result will come automatically according to the input work which you have put. But if it doesn't come, there are reasons other than your work. So which is not your concern. We are not responsible for it. It is not your failure. For example, if seats are reserved and somebody else got it, it doesn't mean you have failed. Though you didn't get the seat. Therefore, this Karma Yoga concept taken from Bhagavad-gita is very crucial for all of us in all our work. Because there is a secret behind it. Because every effort will pay off, even though it may not be immediate. I know people who are my family members who work very hard in their IIT preparation time, but they didn't get IIT. They got depressed, but the knowledge which they acquired, the skill which they acquired in working very hard, learning very hard during that period, has helped them the whole life. If not IIT, got something else, or triple IT. If not triple IT, NIT. If not NIT, some other institute, doesn't matter. So that person finally could do doctorate also, PhD in a top institute in the world, in a top subject, because of the knowledge acquired during that time. So the efforts will not go waste. Kalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahatobhaya. The attitude matters a lot, because your negative attitude of depression, etc., if you have, it will cause damage to you only. Whereas if you take positive attitude of Karma Yoga, that you are not obsessed with the result, but only with the effort only. You do your duty to the perfection. And once you do your duty, what happens after that is not your concern. If you don't get it, doesn't matter. Because you'll get something else, which is equally good, if not better. For example, if a person got IIT by chance, he may not have got computer science, or he may not have got electronics. He might have got only, say, civil engineering. But by studying in some other institute, he may get the best option, computer science or electronics. So it doesn't mean that everything which you do is bad and only getting into IIT is the best. That's not correct. There are people who commit suicide when they didn't get it. There are people who commit suicide when they don't get their love marriage success. And there are people who commit suicide even after getting into IIT. It's a very common thing in IITs that people commit suicides. And I don't know if you're aware of this. Many people who got admission into IIT commit suicide in IIT. So that's a psychological problem. It is not an admission problem. So the psychological attitude of obsession on the result, and therefore I don't want to live if I don't get what I want to get. That is the problem. That is why Tyaktva karma phala sangam nityatrupto nirashrayaha karmanya abhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. You are not doing anything, even though you do everything. In fact, the same thing was told about Prahlad also. Paniyam buludravuchun kuduchuchun hasa lila nidradulu seyuchun vashimpuchun Santata Sri Narayana Pada Padma Yugali Chintamrata Pana Visesha Mata Chittudai Marachan Surari Sutudai Tad Vishwamundu. Even in Bhakti Yoga, which is covered in the 10th chapter, Prahlada was so absorbed into the Bhakti on Narayana, Vishnu, Krishna, that though he was appearing to be doing all activities like a king, he was not getting attached. He was absorbed. Aniyam buludraguchun kuduchuchun hasalila nidradul seyuchun vashimpuchun Santata Sri Narayana Pada Padma Yugali Chintamrata Visesha Matta Chittudai. He was intoxicated with the devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord Narayana, Vishnu, Krishna, that he forgot this world. Marachan Surari Sutam Etad Vishwamundu. So, in Karma Yoga and as well as Bhakti Yoga, detachment to the worldly activities, not to the activity. Activities will be done perfectly. Yoga Karma Su Kaushalam. But the result will not be taken to the heart as obsession. So, if that can be achieved, then your life is going to be successful. Because your performance, it depends on your psychological condition. If you are depressed, frustrated, you want to commit suicide or some such thing, then you cannot do anything. So, friends, it's very critical that you understand this principle of Bhagawadgita. What is the correct attitude towards your studies, towards your competition, towards your life, whether it is academic competition life or the job level competition life or love life. You should be having the maturity. This is basically a maturity level, higher maturity level, to play the game. A sportsman plays the game, but he's not going to commit suicide if he loses the game. The reason why we have to encourage sports is that You be sportsman in your life. And that is what the Bhagavad Gita teaches. So if you are being able to sport, in fact, Lord Krishna has been described as Kridavastvakilam Jagat, Sruti Rajna Vapurjnanam. He is an embodiment of jnana, wisdom. His words are Vedas. And his whole life, the whole world is a sport. So this is one of the main messages of Bhagavad Gita for youth. And tomorrow we will cover some other messages from the Bhagavad Gita. I have finished.
If anybody has any questions, please unmute yourselves and ask.
Yes.
Guruji, it is easier said than done to disassociate yourself from expectation of results. No, Guruji? It is
Yes.
as a
That's where
student.
the maturity, no, that's where the maturity comes. See, like a person who has been given this wisdom in advance, or he has understood this game, or been told about this by someone, like Krishna told to Arjuna. Otherwise, even Arjuna didn't know. For that person, it may be easier. I agree with you that it is not easy. But once this is understood, it is very clear in any sport or game. Like, for example, if you go and play cricket with small kids in the apartment complex, you are an old man at 50, 60, 70 like me. And they are kids with 10, 12 years, 8 years, 9 years. They play cricket. And with all obsession and with all commitment and emotional identification, you go and play with them. You may be appearing to play with equal intensity of effort or commitment like them, but you will not be obsessed with this because you know that it is just for fun. So that's what is the difference between them and you? The only difference is maturity. So when they grow up, they will also become mature. They will also play cricket with their youngsters. So this life which we play is a life of game. We all came to life to play our game, role in our game. Our life is a particular role we play in the larger game, which is a part of another larger game. Is part of another larger game. So, in fact, Arjuna was told by Krishna, if you don't fight this war and run away, you will only get, what you get is only bad name. They will be talking ill about you for centuries and centuries. This fellow ran away. If you fight, Ato va prapsase swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim. You will either be killed or you will win over. If you win over, you will rule this earth. If you get killed, you will get great name and fame. Veera and Gudu, Veera Swarga. So both ways, it is win-win situation for you, only to fight. That's a very important message. We have to fight. Our life is a war. Nobody has a life which is not a war. Everybody has problems of all kinds. When they fight. When they fight, they get results. Whatever results they get, you should be satisfied without obsession, because obsession will not help in any case. If you want to fight once again, one more fight, you can fight. But just getting obsessed and therefore getting depressed and therefore running away or therefore losing your capability to fight, is not correct. That is wisdom. So that wise counsel has to be given to our youngsters.
Obsession to fight can be there. That means obsession towards result should not be there, but being obsessed with the fight
Fighting
is
is
okay.
nothing but working. Fighting is nothing but working. We fight every day with everything. If you don't fight, then you'll be a failure. You'll be finished. You'll be sent home. You have to run away from. You have to fight. That is what is karma. Fight doesn't mean physical violence and all. In our case, luckily, we are not in the war zone. Military people will be in war zone. They will fight. All that is valid for. But we are in civilian. We are civilians. So we need not fight physically, but we have to fight against problems of life. There's nobody on this earth who doesn't have, right from Prime Minister Narendra Modi onward, to me and you, everyone has X, Y, Z problems. So if you think that, problems are there and therefore, I better not do anything because I won't get the result anyway. So there is a beautiful poem by Bhartrihari also on this. Prarambhincharu Nichamanavu Vignayasa Santaptulai. That means most worthless people, they never start doing anything. They don't fight for anything. Thinking, how can I get this? I will not be able to get this anyway. I will not be able to get IIT. I will not be able to get IAS. I will not be able to get a job. So there's no point. I better withdraw and go somewhere or enjoy myself. Or I just give up. If your father is rich, you give up. You relax and make fun. Ayashi karo. This is the attitude a lot of children have when their parents are rich parents. Second category, medium people. Prarambhinchu parityajinchadaru vignayatulai madhya. Some people make efforts to do something, achieve something, but then they find it very difficult in the middle, so they give up. The third category, dhirul, courageous people. Vigna nihanyamanulai, tarabdhabdham lichagim parvata prajnani. They are not bothered about obstructions, problems. They will fight, and achieve the result. Come what. So that achieving result need not be exactly what you wanted to achieve. IIT seat. It can be next level also, equivalent level also, triple IT instead of IT, or NIT instead of IT, or VAT instead of IT, or CVAT instead of IT, or KMIT instead of IT. But it works even then because your knowledge which you have acquired by your fight, your effort will not go waste. So this is the main message we have to convey to our youngsters or even grown-up people like us. A lot of old people also suffer these problems. So I have fought in my life all the time. I have been fighting. I was brought up in situations which are extremely adverse. Like my father died when I was 14 years. And his dead body is in front of me. I didn't have a single paisa. So I fought with life in close encounters. Only because of Bhagawadgita, wisdom in my head. I didn't get deflected. I didn't get upset. I didn't get frustrated. I didn't get depressed. So I fought for years and years. Finally, I succeeded. And even after I succeeded in my life, at the end of my life, I had to fight once again in Delhi against corruption to get my natural rightful position as Director General of NIC. Corruption people, they did eat away into my time. I fought in the court and won it. Finally, I became Director. So one is major crisis in my life when I was very young. Another is a crisis, a professional crisis at the fag end of my career. So all this is only because of the inspiration I got from Bhagavad Gita and the saints who propagated the message of Ramakrishna Met Swamijis or my mother or teachers, yoga teachers. So that whole thing is depending on your attitude. Your attitude determines your altitude. Today, I am able to give this lecture because I had gone through this process. It's not just reading book and take. A lot of people, they are professional lecturers and speakers. Their job is to give lectures. So they'll read and give. Not like that in my case. My profession is something else. This is my life journey and my experience and my successes in spite of most adverse situations. I have got fighting. Once somebody gave me an award in Delhi. They asked me, what do you, it's a Rashtriya Gaurav Award. Then they asked me, what do you think and all that. I said, what do you do all your life? I said, all my life I'm fighting only. I'm fighting against problems. And I got used to overcoming. I had never landed in a situation when I failed. Because you know how to fight and you know how to win also. If you don't fight, you'll never win. Okay?
Very inspirational. Dhanyavad, Guruji. Yeah, that was a very important thought because children, especially today's children, they don't see failure at young age. Suddenly, when they get a fall, they just don't know how to raise up. They start questioning God. They start questioning everything except accepting that, yeah, there was something that was a cause for failure, but you can still go on with life. It's
No,
very
that's what
important that they learn to face failure also.
No. The so-called failure is not actually failure.
Yeah,
it is determined by many factors which are not in your control or in your hands. Your duty was to put effort, fight, and put in the necessary hard work, which you did. If you did that, that's enough. Your job is over. The same thing which you have done will take you somewhere else, if not this. If one door is closed, the other door will automatically open. And there are so many doors, and the world is very large. It's not that only one particular door will be open, otherwise you die. It's not like that. The world is having many opportunities, many avenues. In fact, even the logic that you should study only in IIT or only in NIT, that's also not correct. But APJ Abdul Kalam did not study in any IIT, or even all our Chandrayaan scientists never studied in any IIT. They studied in ordinary colleges. In fact, it was said very satirically that the topmost brilliant minds of India who went to IITs and IIMs, they sold soap, Hindustan Liver and so on, or toothpaste. And the ordinary college graduates, they sent Chandrayaan rocket to the moon. So it is a question of what is your attitude, what is your commitment, what is your tapasya, how did you fight? So when you fight from the lowest level, you can reach the highest. We can see our Prime Minister's case. From a boy who was serving tea to the railway passengers in moving trains, how he has reached where he is. So there are so many such cases, only such people, and all of them, let me assure you that all of them got inspired with Bhagawadgita or Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Bhatt, every one of them. You meet any person who has started from very difficult situation, but reached great heights. Done only with this attitude of fighting without obsession to the result will automatically bring result. If not this result, some other result which is equivalent or even better possible.
Dhanyavad, Guruji. Anybody else has any questions? Please unmute yourself and ask.
Rinkuji.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, sir. Actually, I don't have question because I believe Krishna a lot. Actually, I'm blindly believing him. So I'm following in whatever, sir, you told. That is so correct. Like so many doors are open for us. We cannot concentrate only closed doors. So this is the mantra of my life also, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Correct. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
We will close with if there are no more questions, we will close with the Prarthana and National Anthem. Can we recite Prarthana, Guruji?
Yeah.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Swasti. We shall stand up for National Anthem. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल वंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष माहे गाहे तव जय गाता जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हिंद
Jai Hind.
जय श्री राम.